Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the Bitcoin price this Friday as we're heading into the weekend where the markets are the most manipulated, and Bitcoin has tested the $44,800 resistance level today. So I had to get this video out to talk about how the volume is reacting to this extremely important resistance to assume whether or not we're going to be able to get above 45,000 US dollars and potentially head towards this monthly open at 47,000 US dollars. And so far, we're seeing a garden variety rejection of a major resistance at 44,800. And so when we look at the candle on the 6-hour chart, notice how we did have this bullish continuation candle followed by a candle with a bullish tail trying to get above 44,800. But when we go into the 3-hour chart, notice how there wasn't enough institutional participation in order to justify the price getting above 44,800 based on the volume. And you can see this a lot clearer on the 1-hour chart. And so I always say the path of least resistance when there's low volume, which means very little institutional participation, is always going to be sideways to a little bit higher inside of a range. And so the range that we're currently in is 41,950 to 44,800. 44,800 has been on our channel for over a year now, and I always say our support and resistance levels that are in red are the most important levels based on volume accumulation, distribution, the VPVR, of course, alongside with major weekly and monthly candle highs and lows where there has been that type of volume, because those are where we're going to see the transitions for Bitcoin that could really open up more volatility. So the door of 44,800 not opening is a huge puzzle piece. The rejection is a huge puzzle piece. And we only have sell pressure, if you notice here, with retail coming in after we tested 44,800. So that does indicate it's a very key level for traders. But more importantly, we are seeing the rejection. And that's a puzzle piece because that assumes that sideways price action is highly likely inside of the range of 44,800 and 41,950, which is not a bad thing. The fact that we're above 41,950 is good. I'm glad we saw a little bit of a push up for Bitcoin like this because it brought Ethereum back over $3,000, and we'll look at some of the altcoins in a second. But we know our thesis for altcoins has been that Bitcoin dominance is in the early stages of a reversal. So what really matters is what Bitcoin is doing, because in this type of season, what matters is when Bitcoin is coming down, that's when we start to see altcoins bleed out. But when Bitcoin comes up, the potential for some altcoins to rally and for Ethereum, of course, to see strength becomes likely and higher. And so we want to watch what happens here between 44,800 and 41,950 because we have yet to see institutional participation. The question is, are we going to be seeing that volume come in on the weekend, or are we going to have a pretty stale weekend? Now, I do want to look at the 15-minute chart and then the 3-minute chart because we can get some hints as to the psychology behind what's happening at this test. So when we initially came up to test 44,800, notice how we did see a good amount of buy volume come in on the 15-minute chart. And then we finally saw a sell bar on the volume that exceeded the buy volume that came on the previous 15-minute candle. And that was exactly at 44,800. And that started the sideways price action. And then we continued to see these large spikes, notice here, of sell pressure. So I think this is a big puzzle piece that after we came to 44,800, and we're just looking at the 15-minute chart, we started to see these larger spikes in sell pressure. So it looks like there are more sellers than buyers in the market. And so the buyers are kind of, just keeping the price afloat while the sellers are really spiking the price to prevent it from exceeding that $44,800 level. So until we start to see institutional participation, in my opinion, we're going to be going sideways between 41,950 and 44,800. Now, let's say that we start to see some volume come in that is institutional type volume, then we really want to start monitoring, I believe, the 6-hour chart, because the problem that I've seen throughout the drop here after we came above 50,000 on September 6th here is the fact that on the 6-hour, we've seen all of this sell pressure, and we've only seen large spikes of sell pressure. We have not seen large spikes of buy pressure yet. And this is an institutional time frame, the 6-hour. And so I want to see at least one green candle that is at least as high as these two here, the one on the 13th or the 22nd, or preferably something like what happened on the 7th of September when we initially came down from the $54,000 level all the way down to 41,000. I want to see this type of volume to assume a short-term bottom. I don't think we'll get that until we start to see a little bit more volatility. And so, for now, I'd like to see some volume that equates to some of the larger volume bars, and then my expectation for a short-term bottom will only be confirmed, I believe, if we see some 6-hour volume equate to the exact or higher amount of volume that took us from the $54,000 level down to the low 40,000. So that's what I'm watching when it comes to the dynamics of micro and macro time frames. And then, of course, on the 3-minute chart, there is, I would say a battle here with bulls and bears. But for the most part, as soon as we got to 44,800, we can even just kind of remove the volume that was not at 44,800 to see what happened on the smaller time frames at 44,800. And notice how there has been a lot of sell pressure. Just right now, actually, this is a 3-minute candle. Look, Bitcoin is pushing up back to 44,800. Let's see if this turns red or if it stays green here. It's going to close in 20 seconds. We'll probably find that out right now. So here, I'll show you guys right now in the next 15 seconds how a micro time frame analyst can analyze markets. Look, we're getting this volume right now. If this stays green here in the next 7 seconds, 6 seconds, this is huge. This could be a push to the upside on the smaller time frames, and we're so close to 44,800. All right, that's it. We got the close. So look at that. We finally got some buy volume that exceeds all of the sell pressure since 44,800. So now let's say we do start to come up above 44,800, since we're seeing this already on the smaller time frames. Wow, this is turning into like a live action video. If we look at this channel resistance, this is going to be the first place the bulls are going to be able to get to. It's going to be right around that $45,300 level. We cross 45,300. That's a very bullish thing for Bitcoin, because now 46,000 previous weekly open comes on the table. And then, of course, we have this area here where we have the monthly open at 47,000, which is quite significant. So I think we'd want to monitor that. And then this white line I'm going to remove here because it's not as significant. And so if we get above 45,300, there's a potential we come up to the monthly open at 47,000. First, we're going to have to conquer 46,000. But notice how we already have 1, 2, 3 roadblocks ahead just to get to 49,700. And so these are the 3 roadblocks to the upside. I think that the main thing I'd like to see outside of volume analysis for price action here is 47,000 if we want to assume upside for Bitcoin. I don't think anything below that would really be too spectacular in my opinion. And so 47,000 is the bullish confirmation. And then at this point, if we get above 44,800, it will turn into a support, but we want to see a full daily candle above that. But for now, 41,950 is our make it or break it support level for Bitcoin. The longer we stay above 41,950, the higher that we stay above 41,950, the better for Bitcoin. The lower and closer we get to it, that opens up that downside scenario that I believe could potentially take us to 36,500, because that means that if we come down to test 41,950 for another knock on this door, it tells me this is not the final destination for Bitcoin. And so we already have not necessarily seen the sort of price action you would assume at a final destination when we came to 41,950, because first we got the wick and then we came below. So we just keep clearing the order books like we did here to drive price even lower. And so when you reach a destination, there's 2 things that could happen. Number one, you reach the destination, you immediately turn back around, right? And that would be, let's say, 38,000. That could be the most bullish downside scenario here for Bitcoin. We turn right back around. It's just a wick. The other way that you can reach a destination is you come to it, and then you have a cup of coffee at the destination. And that means, okay, it's not the final destination. Now, there's a likelihood this is either going to continue in the same direction after that cup of coffee or reverse in the other direction, and that's when you have to look at the micro time frames if it's having a cup of coffee. So those are the 2 ways that I would look at a chart and say, okay, that reached the final destination. Of course, volume is the most important thing. Price action is the second most important thing, and then market structure is the third most important thing when analyzing markets and predicting the next move. So that was a pretty good Bitcoin analysis, if I do say so myself. I'm gonna just quickly just run over what's really important about the other parts of the market right now to just kind of complete the three-dimensional part to this, and then we'll finish with a 4D, traditional markets outlook. So really quick with Ethereum, the leading indicator for altcoins. We're back inside the channel of 3,000 to 3454. Until we see 3454, we can't assume any upside for Ethereum to see potentially new yearly highs or new all-time highs. So this is a major resistance, and the support of our channel is 1980. So we have a market structural support right now at 3,000, but our real major support level where there's volume is 1980. And so Ethereum could be extremely volatile as long as the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart stays above 65,000 Satoshis. But what we do need to consider is that we are on the way down right now with this chart. And then if we break 65,000 Satoshis, 53,500 comes on the table. And that's a pretty big gap right there. So with 65,000 Satoshis just down to 54,000 is a 20% drop. And remember, the only reason I would expect Ethereum not to perform as well as Bitcoin is if Bitcoin is dropping. So that's 20% just off of the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, plus whatever Bitcoin goes down. And so that's why you start to see amplified downside with altcoins if Bitcoin dominance is starting to reverse. And that's exactly what's happening, why Bitcoin dominance, if we look at this daily chart, up until we came down to test a previous resistance as a support, we're just seeing new lows on a daily basis. And so this is just a garden variety retest, but nothing to go home and tell grandma about, since we're still below the weekly and monthly open for the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, assuming that the trend for altcoins is still in the favor of the Snipers channel's thesis that we are in the early stages of a Bitcoin dominance reversal that is going to play out as a double bottom here at 40% dominance and start heading back towards homeostasis, which it likes to sit at the 200-week moving average, sitting right at this 58% dominance level. And so I believe this would only happen if Bitcoin's price is coming down and there's fear in altcoins to drive capital into Bitcoin as a storage of value, as a hedge, kind of like how gold acts in traditional markets. So that is still looking like the case. And then, of course, the DXY is our four-dimensional confirmation of that Bitcoin dominance prediction, being a very correlated asset or chart to Bitcoin. Notice how, I love how I corrected myself from calling the dollar an asset. By the way, people are saying, what is the DXY? It's the dollar value against all other major currencies. And it basically tells you what is the strength of the US dollar. It's a very, very important chart. And so that's already double bottomed, got its way above the 20-week moving average. And that's why I'm expecting Bitcoin dominance to do the same as it did in 2018. And then with commodities, not much to go home and talk about. So we're not going to really go too far into it, but we do need to look at the S&P 500 because we came down to this 100-day moving average, and now we're at the 50-day moving average. So we've yet to get above it, but if we get above it, that's a huge positive for the crypto market. If we reject, that's going to be an interesting thing, because understand this, every time we've come down so far to this 100-day moving average since September 2020, we've held it, and we've come right back above the 50-day. This is the first time in 2021 that we are testing the 100-day moving average. And so it would be a major puzzle piece for us not to get back above the 50-day moving average, sitting at exactly where S&P 500 E-mini futures contract is sitting right now. And so maybe that's why Bitcoin couldn't break above 44,800 yet. But if this breaks above the 50-day moving average, the likelihood of that becomes highly likely for Bitcoin. And if we reject, what we want to monitor is, are we going to break the 100-day moving average? Because that would be a big concern for the market. I don't think we'd get that answer until the DXY can move out of this range, because this range that it's sitting in doesn't really breed too much fear in the markets between 92.62 and 93.82. Obviously, it's had its effect, but until we get above this level at 93.82, I don't think we'll see a downside effect for the traditional markets. The longer we stay at the lower end, of this channel, or come down to a lower end part of the channel, the better for markets to see some continued upside in U.S. dollar terms. So, with that, I am still in Greece, and I will potentially be going to Dubai after this. So for those in Dubai, hit me up. I'll just might as well wrap up with another view of Greece. I mean, I'm only here for 3 more days. It's so beautiful to just be out here with the wind and the beach right by us. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed today's analysis. I think that was all I wanted to cover today. And remember to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm so that we can hit 100,000 snipers on this channel. And until next time, thank you all for tuning in today. Snipers